Thanks for coming by, even though it's almost during lunchtime right now. I just realized that it's like 12 to 1 for lunch, okay? Now, today I'd like to talk about some analysis about the Asian mobile market, some of the key countries, as well as I'll be focusing on Android app marketing in Asia as well. All right, so a little bit about myself. Born and bred in Malaysia. I had my tertiary studies in Japan, lived in Japan for 15 years before moving to Singapore 2.5 years ago to start up MedApps in Singapore as the global headquarters. Our parent company is based out of Japan. And now I'm also overlooking the operations in North America and Europe. Okay, some comparative outlook at the Asian mobile market. But before I start, you might be wondering why I'm focusing on Google Play or Android. So first of all, we see that the Android market has grown exponentially. The market share of the download apps is increasing rapidly, and now it's 1.5 times more than the iOS for Android market downloaded apps. However, in terms of total revenue, we still see that iOS is still somewhat double the times of Android. But this is compared to, let's say, 3-4 years ago. iOS used to be like 10-folds of Android in terms of revenue. Now, the huge increase of the download market share is also due to the sharp increase of all the handsets, devices in Asia. So looking at, let's say, Korea, China, and Taiwan, you could see that they are huge. They are huge in terms of the market share for Android. So 90% in Korea, China is slightly below 70%, Taiwan is over 80%, and players like Samsung, LG, Huawei, ZTE, Xiaomi, HTC, etc. play a big role on this explosive growth. Next question, why Asia? Now, many of you might already know, but I mean, from a recent study from App Annie, you see that Japan is leading at number 1, a very strong force to reckon with. US overtook Korea just half a year ago in terms of top revenue generating. Then you have Korea at number 3, Taiwan at number 5, Hong Kong number 7. So we have 4 countries out of top 7 in the top revenue generating countries in the world, actually dominated by Asian countries. And Taiwan actually just opened up the Google Wallet just in February, March last year. So in less than 1.5 years, they are now in top 5 with a population of less than 25 million people. Next, you see the BRIC countries. So BRIC meaning Brazil, Russia, India, Indonesia, and China. I left out China because in China we do not have Google Play. So these countries are up and coming, and in terms of download by countries, they are leading the market as well. So how lucrative can it get, right? I mean, we talk about Android, we talk about Asia, so let me give you an outlook of this. So we have Japan. So for example, in Japan, you can see that top 1 to 5 in top grossing, potentially earning about 3 million to more than 100 million per month, 6 to 10, 1 to 3 million, 11 to 20, etc. And then for Korea and Taiwan, you see the same. For Japan, if let's say top 50 top grossing, you possibly could earn more than $8,000 to $10,000 a day. And even if you earn like $100,000 a month, you can't even get into top 100 in top grossing for Japan. And for Korea and Taiwan, they are picking up speed very quickly as well, with a potential revenue of more than $10 million per month. And for Korea, even if you're in top 50, like in top 50, you probably could earn like more than $200,000 in a month. So this goes to show that the myth about being able to make money only on iOS is not true. So the market is definitely getting more competitive. We talked about that just now. So here we could see a year, so 2013, 2014, I make a comparison. So for example, how many installs it gets to the top rankings in top new free, okay? So in Google Play, we have top new free ranking. So in Japan, you could see that there's like about 20% increase, 20-30% increase. In Taiwan, there's a significant increase in terms of downloads because it's getting very competitive as well as a lot of players are wanting to get into there because of the huge potential. But please note that not just the downloads. Actually, there are other factors involved. So there's like pre-registration, or there are other types of viral marketing that can be done other than just getting the downloads to get to the top rankings, to get noticed. So I want to focus a little bit about the analysis of the markets in the top 4 Asian markets, namely Japan, Korea, China, and Taiwan. Okay, so I'll start with Japan, being the #1 market in top revenue. So we can see there's an emergence of global mega hit titles on Japan charts, which was almost unheard of before. So the emergence of Clash of Clans, Heyday from Supercell, Candy Crush from King, Castle Clash from IGG, Megapolis, Social Quantum, and also the recent movie The Disney, Frozen Freefall from Disney proves this point. Next, we also see a trend of giant app developers in Japan who were once a traffic engine, and now they're moving to a monetization engine with the likes of Line and Color Plus. We talked about global apps succeeding in Japan, all right? We start to see a lot of Japanese developers now pursuing and achieving success outside of Japan as well. Just a couple of examples we have here are Brave Frontier from Gumi. I'm not sure if you all know of this company, but Brave Frontier is now listed in top 10 in terms of the top 10 top revenue generating apps, games in the world. And then we have Puzzle Dragons from Kangho and Monster Strike from Mixi. Other than the PC online game companies moving to mobile, we also start to see more and more success from traditional console gaming companies coming with long established IPs. To name a few would be like Bandai Namco, Konami, etc. So while we hear many successful stories, there were many failures as well, to be noted. Next, what we see as a trend in Japan is in the top grossing categories. The light casual games are slowly replacing the hardcore games. And this is not only limited to Japan, but also in the US and Korea, we are seeing the same trend as well. And the graph shows a comparison of the current situation versus a year and a half ago. The change of trend shows that high ARPU, low DAU games are slowly replaced by the high DAU and low ARPU games, okay? So it's slowly going towards casual and having more DAU instead of high ARPU. Next, let's move on to Korea, #3 revenue generating country. So Kakao, I think you all heard about a lot of the presentations before this. Kakao is definitely a great force to reckon with, which dominates at least about 80% of the top grossing games. And this means if an app is successful in Korea, it's pretty likely to be integrated with Kakao platform, okay? And in Korea, RPG games, also strategy games are very popular and mainstream. And they use Kakao platform for the cross-promotion for the enormous and tremendous traffic exchange. Next trends can be seen are the mid-course, okay? The mid-course must have easy interface like auto hunt mode in RPGs. And also localization is definitely, oh, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, it's a must. So localized customer service is a must in Korea. And because English is not that widely spoken in Korea. And Google Play does not grant features anymore for Korean games, as an update for you guys. And last but not least, unlike in Japan and Taiwan, Line doesn't have a big, significant market share in Korea. Next, we talk about China. So basically, there are 4 types of channels in mainland China. We have the game platformers, third-party markets, device makers with pre-installed game portals, carrier app store, etc. So how to break into the China market? Now, China has a very different marketing strategy due to the non-existence of Google Play, all right? There could be like more than 200 app stores outside of Google Play, okay? And it lacks the transparency in the marketing strategy, so there's no general logic to get into the rankings, etc. But it also gives us the possibility to buy a slot, for example, to be featured in the various app stores. And it's a common practice also to give your source code to local partners and have them run the marketing stints for you. Usually what's common also is to release on iOS and then slowly move on to Android, okay? So some companies which has some success in China, like Brave Frontier from Gumi, Million Arthur from Square Enix, and also from Coropla. Next, I'll talk about Taiwan, and this time I'll also add Hong Kong into the mix. The reason is because they have a very strong similarity between the two. So one big similarity is they both share a spoken and written language, not spoken, sorry, written language, which is traditional Chinese, and in mainland China is the simplified Chinese. And one more thing is also the marketing efforts that you do in Hong Kong and Taiwan can sort of have a synergy between them, and sort of you do one marketing and it sort of reflects on both app stores. So Line's presence has grown much stronger, all right, over the years. So Line has more than 20 million registered users right now in Hong Kong and Taiwan alone, and that represents more than 70% of the entire population in these two countries. Another thing to note here is that more and more localized titles in the top rankings, and that means if you are a global app that wants to penetrate into this Taiwanese market and the Hong Kong market, the app probably needs to be localized as well, similar to Korea and Japan. Okay, look at some common practice on how to succeed on Android. I'll talk about the proven track record of we have helped like multiple apps get into the top rankings in Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, and Hong Kong, etc. And basically the key strategy in Asia is to acquire organic users from rankings and to maximize the organic users. That's the most important thing. And predominantly you can see that incent users generally have just about 5% retention rate, while non-incent users have 20%. And the biggest retention rate comes from organic users. And that's how, so how do we get the organic users? So to maximize the organic users, there are many ways actually. So you can have like, you know, changing a new APK so that you can appear in the top new free rankings, for example. Having a boost campaign, pre-launches, viral marketing. So basically optimizing the top rankings, okay, to get in the top new free to drive organic installs, and then maintain the top rankings by acquiring active users. Something to note here is gaming networks are usually more effective in terms of marketing than the point network. Point network is like, for example, it's an incentivized app that sort of give you coins or points to exchange for real cash. Whereas gaming networks gives you virtual currencies to play within the game, and they're more engaging. So it's very important to acquire active users, as DAU plays an important role as well in the rankings of Google Play. So one failure case study, which, for example, you acquire users from Point Network, you can see 80,000 downloads from Point Network, you get a boost, you stay there for not too long, and then due to lack of active users, ranking plunge. However, if you have like acquiring active users, you can see that the rankings can be maintained for a longer time after the boost. So everyone's talking about Android in Asia being like a black box, you know, like is there ROI, where is the money, how much to spend, they're paying users, etc. Who can I partner with? But it's really not a black box if you have more information about it and if you get to find the right partner to work with in Asia. And this is why we're here. So MedTaps, I'm from MedTaps, and we have our headquarters in Tokyo, 80 people worldwide in 8 offices, and some partners that we will work with. And these are some of the solutions that we have as well. We actually, I don't like to hard sell in presentations, so we actually have a booth at the silver sponsor, booth 524. So if you guys have time, please come by and I'll be happy to share more with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Choy. We have time for a few questions, and I have one regarding the fragmented Android store situation in China. Do you see any movement towards consolidation or the evolution towards an actual Google store there?
Consolidation to one? No. But like, I think the government is pretty happy with the situation right now. So we have, for example, the top platformers like Tencent, Baidu, 360, etc. And they are actually performing well, and you can say it's sort of consolidated. It's not 100% consolidated, but you have like the big four sort of occupying the top 50%, and then the rest of it to be shared among the rest. Yeah. Any other questions?
If you were going to recommend your top 3 China platforms, which one would you recommend?
Over here, I would recommend Tencent, and then you have the UC Web, and Tencent, UC Web, 91, and 360. These are the 4 I would say, yeah, you probably would go with any 3 of them.
I don't know if you keep track of the market capitalization of these companies, but Tencent currently has a market capitalization of about $130 billion. It's a very large corporation.
And by the way, Tencent makes WeChat, by the way. So, the WeChat, yeah. So they're really huge.
Did you have a question?
Yes, please.
Yes, so I've heard that there's a market for games that teach English as a second language. Have you seen that type of educational app becoming viable in China?
In China, I think it's viable, but I think Japan, recently I've read a lot of news about Japan adopting a lot of this teaching English as a second language, especially since Olympics is going to happen in Japan in 2020. So we have also heard about robots being integrated. I mean, they're going to program the bilingual into robots to do translation automatically. In China, after Chinese, I think English, they are now slowly picking up because we had the 2008 Olympics in China and all. I think that's also slowly picking up. They may not use it that frequently on a day-to-day basis, but in terms of business, if you're going to do business in China, I think English can be spoken in terms of business meetings, but for the people in general, I don't think, that's still far away from there.
Any other questions? What was your booth number again, Troy?
Oh, sorry, it's 524.
So Choy will be happy to talk with you in more detail at his booth, 524. Thank you very much,
Happy to answer more.
Choy
Thank you very
Wai
much.
Cheong.
Thanks, Alan.